Okay guys, so we are now going to start discussing about this Mckinsey 7S model. What exactly is this Mckinsey 7S model? Let me help you understand this Mckinsey 7S model. You could see this is actually the diagram of the Mckinsey 7S model. This is the diagram of the Mckinsey 7S model. And in this specific diagram, you could see that there are 7 things which are discussed, which includes strategy, structure, system, shared values, skills, style, and staff. Now, what exactly is this Mckinsey 7S model? What is the objective? What is the idea of this Mckinsey 7S model? Let me guide you. Basically, this Mckinsey 7S model is actually a business integration model. It's a mainly business integration model. What exactly do you mean by it being a business integration model? So when we talk about the concept of business integration model, the concept of business integration model is, it is one of those models that talks about the connectivity, within a business. Now, you see, there are multiple elements of a business and they all are interlinked to each other. There are multiple elements of a business and they are all interlinked to each other. What exactly do you mean by multiple elements of the business being interlinked to each other? So let's try to understand that the different elements that this Mckinsey 7S defines with respect to an organization. So Mckinsey 7S says that there are 7 elements of the organization, and what are those 7 elements of the organizations? They are categorized into 2 headings, which are the hard elements and which are the soft elements. So they are categorized into the hard elements and they are categorized into the soft elements. What are the hard elements? So with respect to the hard elements, you would see that the hard elements include the strategy, hard elements include the structure, and hard elements include the systems. What do we mean by hard elements being the strategy, structure, and systems? So when we talk about the strategy is the overall direction of doing the business, overall direction of the entity. It's actually the path that an entity adopts. So when I talk about the concept of the strategy, what do you mean by the strategy? The concept of a strategy is the overall direction, the course of action that the entity is going to adopt in order to conduct its business. That is going to be considered as your strategy. The structure is the way an organization is arranged. What do you mean by the way the organization is arranged? So with respect to this, the way the organization is arranged would actually include the type of a structure that you have got. Do you have a tall structure? Do you have a flat structure? Do you have a divisional structure? Do you have a matrix structure? What type of a structure do you have as an organization? So that is what this specific concept of a structure means. And lastly, we have got the systems. And when we talk about the systems, so the systems actually refers to your organization's information system. The systems majorly refers to your organization's information system, majorly refers to your organization's IT system, the way the organization's information is communicated, and etc. etc. So that is what the systems is all about. So when I talk about the system actually refers to this. Now, so first thing is the hard elements. The hard elements of the organization is your strategy, your structure, and your systems, which is the course of action that you would adopt as an entity. The structure that organization has, that is how is it arranged, how is it organized. And the third one of them is what type of systems do you have. You've got the IT system, which are strong manual systems, computer based systems. How does the information flows within the organization? That's what the third element, which is the systems, actually means. Now, what next is there with respect to the soft elements? So when I talk about the soft elements, the concept of soft elements is that the soft elements actually refer to I repeat, the soft elements actually refer to there are 4 soft elements that are mentioned, which include the shared values, which include the skills, which includes the staff, and the last one of them is the style. Now, what is this shared values? So when we talk about the shared values, so shared values actually refers to the culture of the organization, the overall environment that is prevalent within the organization. So that is what the shared values actually refer to. So when I talk about the shared values, they refer to the culture, they refer to the overall environment that is there within an organization. When I talk about the skills, what exactly do I mean by skills? The skills are the expertise that staff possess. Expertise that the staff possess. And when we talk about the staff, the employees and their general capabilities. And with respect to the style, the management style, or you could say the leadership style. So this is what is actually referred to the soft elements. Now, what exactly is the purpose of classifying these elements into hard elements and soft elements, and what does Mckinsey 7S guides us? So let's talk about it. When it comes to the hard elements, as per Mckinsey 7X, the hard elements are relatively easier to change, and the soft elements are difficult to change. Soft elements are difficult to change. Now, you would see, what do you mean by this? A lot of you people would be like, are you writing the correct thing? Yes, I'm writing the correct thing. Hard elements are easier to change, and soft elements are difficult to change. Now, what exactly do you mean by this? Try to understand. Why is hard elements difficult to easier to change, and why are the soft elements difficult to change? Because the soft elements refer to the soft skills of the humans involved. They are difficult to define. They are difficult to define. They are difficult to amend. Like, for example, let me guide you. When we talk about a culture, it's very difficult to change the culture. If I am coming from a culture which is a very family oriented culture, which is a sort of a culture which is a caring culture, which is not a culture where people are just very materialistic. So if I am actually being placed in a culture where there is a materialism involved, where there is like, you have to be very confined, you cannot have a family support system, you have to be an individual, etc. So if I am being put in such sort of a culture, it would become very difficult for me to adopt. If I am working in an organization where there is a very strict rule implemented in the organization, and that like we are being required to work under a very immense pressure. So if you put me into an organization where there is a leniency, where there is a freedom, so I may not be able to perform very well in that specific culture, in that specific environment. If I work in an organization where there is an open environment, friendly environment, teamwork is involved, and if I'm being asked to work in an environment, if I'm being asked that the environment has to change now and it has to become a very autocratic environment, then the things are not going to work like that. Let me give you a guidance. I'm sure that a lot of you people actually follow football, soccer, but I do follow soccer only when there is a World Cup. I don't follow these leagues and all that, but yes, I'm a cricket fan. I do follow cricket. What I had seen in the past was that the Australian cricket team was always one of those cricket teams that had outperformed the other cricket teams. But in the recent past, unfortunately, the Australian cricket team has gone to a decline. What is the reason? Everyone used to say, even in Pakistan, in India, everyone used to say that Australia has got an amazing system. But right now I could say that India has got the best system in the world. They introduced IPL, the Indian Premier League, and that Indian Premier League ultimately produced a lot of talent for India. And India right now has got two teams which are competing simultaneously at the international arena. So this is something which is of a surprise. England had a very good system, but again India has surprised everyone. And Australia unfortunately is going down the line. Why? That is majorly because, I think, because of the culture that has now been created within their dressing room, because of the introduction of Justin Langer, his way of managing the things. He's trying to change the culture. He's trying to change the environment of the dressing room, which is ultimately not working out for these Australians, and they are succumbing badly. Even if they play their first sided team, even if they play their number one team, number one players, the best available players, so even then they are not able to perform, just because the dressing room environment has changed completely as compared to the environment what they have been used to working. So you get it. What do we mean by do you actually get what do you mean by the concept of shared values? It's a culture that is prevalent. Next, you talk about the skills. You cannot change the staff's skill overnight. I repeat, you cannot change your staff's skills overnight. You can't make them learn coding. You can't make them be sharp. You cannot make them smart enough overnight. It is something that requires a lot of training, a lot of exposure, a lot of development. Then ultimately it is being done. You talk about a staff. If you have got all of the people who are engineers and you want to change all of the engineers to become accountant, it cannot be possible. You want all of the accountants to become a programmer, write down the accountancy programs. No, it cannot be possible. So that is about the staff. And lastly, the leadership style, the management style, the leadership style. Again, the leadership style is human dependent. It cannot be changed. You cannot change a person. You cannot change a person's personality. You cannot change the way that person operates. I may be actually a very calm person for managing things. I may actually be calm even at conducting the classes. I may even be calm at answering the questions, responding to the queries. But again, it's not necessary that every tutor teaching here would be calm. It's not necessary that every teacher dealing with you in the international arena would be very calm. It's not necessary that the teachers would always be facilitating. It's not necessary. It actually depends upon how you want to take about, because it's a sort of a style that I'm adopting when it comes to teaching also. So do you people get the soft elements part, and do you understand why is it difficult to change? You can't change me. If you want me to be very, very strict, I cannot be, because that's not me. So now see, this is what is considered to be, I repeat, this is considered to be the soft elements because they're difficult to change, they're difficult to define, they're human dependent majorly. So you can't change them easily overnight. Now, when it comes to the hard elements, they're easier to define. You could change the strategy, you could change the course of action. Apple always used to be the manufacturer, Apple always used to be the developer of the mobile phones. But over the time, they have changed their strategy, they have changed their line of course of action, the work that they are doing. They are no more a developer, they are no more the producer, they are no more the manufacturer. They get manufacturing done through outsourcing. The manufacturing is done through outsourcing. The only thing that they do is that they develop, they work on development. They design the products, they market the products, that's what they do. They don't produce chips. They don't produce things. Everything is almost outsourced. They focus upon technological development. They don't focus upon manufacturing. Same goes for HP also. HP isn't manufacturing. HP is relying upon other manufacturers. Same goes for Boeing also. There is only one single part that Boeing manufactures of the 777 plane, and the rest of all is outsourced. So you could change your strategy. You might actually be a producer for everything, but you might change your strategy over time. You might say, no, I'm not going to be producer anymore. I'm just going to be focusing upon XYZ thing. I'm standing here, I run this institution of Scriber Academy, and what we did was we changed, people came to online because of pandemic, but we had been focusing on online for many years. I had actually decided that in order to run the physical education, you got to have a very big team, you got to focus on the administrative aspects, and I did not have the support. I did not have the support. I had the resources, but I did not have the support. So I rather decided that we got to have a change of a strategy in one of the cities of Pakistan in which we were operating. We completely shifted the operations to online. And in one of the cities that we were operating, we focused on the physical education because the dynamics were like that. So it's a change of a strategy that you have. And now we have decided that for the next 2-3 years, we are not going to be conducting any physical classes no matter what happens. I myself had the strategy. I never used to go and teach at any other institutions, but I changed the strategy now. I adapted to the environment, and I was like that, look man, you have to go and teach at other institutions also, because your institution is not teaching physically. You got to have your name in the market. So if you got to have your name in the market, you got to go and teach elsewhere also. So I've started teaching elsewhere also. That's a change in a strategy. Yeah, Linda, they are paying classes. Now, so the strategy is there. Now, with respect to structure, maybe possible you talk about the organization structure to be a very tall structure, and with respect to having a tall structure, you may actually end up with a situation that the decision making is slowing down, the resources are being consumed, the lesser amount of revenue is being generated as compared to what resources are being done, the opportunities are being missed out. You may bring about a change in the structure. Okay, let me guide you one more thing. Any one of you doing the e-commerce business? Okay, Arun is saying he does it on Amazon. Okay, now, no, Lele app, not always necessary that everyone is a scam. Not always necessary. Okay, if you work on Amazon, you work on some reliable stores, then things are there, right? Okay, now see. When you work on e-commerce, there are different strategies. One of them is a lot of people would focus upon sourcing the products, and then after sourcing the products, they would keep the product in their own premises, and they would be selling on Amazon or etc. They would be handling the shipping on their own. They would be handling the refunds, customer complaints, everything on their own. That is one way of operating. And this way of operating is, I think, not a viable option. This way of operating is not a viable option, whether you are doing it with AliExpress or you are doing it with Amazon or you are doing it with any other e-commerce store. I think that's not a viable option. What is a viable option is that you pay some XYZ cents, dollars to Amazon or AliExpress or whatsoever store you are operating with. You hand over the shipping to them. You source the product, put them onto their warehouse. What is going to happen? You would be saving the warehousing cost. You would be saving the hassle of shipping. You would be saving the hassle of handling the customer queries, and you would be saving the hassle of actually dealing with the refunds and all these things. This is all going to be avoided. It's just a change of a strategy. Your strategy was that you would rather focusing upon that we would give the one window solution. But now you have actually changed your strategy and you have now focused upon transferring everything to Amazon and let them do the shipping, let them handle the refunds, let them handle the customer complaints, let them do everything. That's a change. You see, now this could even be considered as a change in the structure also. You were having warehouses, you were operating as a warehousing, now you are just operating as a trading company, that's it. And not even the trading company, you are probably operating as a marketing company, that's it. Trader come marketeer, something like that. And with respect to systems, so how your systems are, whether you've got ERPs implemented, whether you've got modern day systems implemented, etc., etc. So that is something that could be considered. So basically, when we talk about this Mckinsey 7S model, it is one of those models that tells you that there are hard elements, there are soft elements of the organization. Now, so how do we implement this Mckinsey 7S in the organization? The implementation of Mckinsey 7S would mean what? The first step is that you need to consider your shared values, and you need to see, are they aligned with your strategy, with your structure, with your systems. And in case if any change needed, bring on to them. I repeat, in case if any change is needed, first of all, you change your hard elements to whatever extent you can. Next thing is that the next step is going to be, you then focus upon the soft parts like the skills and you style, staff, etc., then you focus on the soft elements and you try to change them to whatever extent you can. And once you bring about the change to all of them, the ultimate objective, the ultimate goal is basically to be focusing on the objectives, to be focusing on the culture, etc., of the organization, just to make sure that all of the parts are integrating well with each other, and ultimately the value is going to be created for the organization. Do you get it? Yeah, do you people get it now? Okay, perfect. So we are done with this McKinsey 7S model now.